Well, none of our Cherokee purple tomatoes made it. I think one or two little seedlings popped up when we initially planted it, then they just died. Nothing else came up, nothing survived. Check out that big snail. Is our comfrey fixing to bloom? It looks like it. I wonder why this comfrey looks so different than the comfrey that I have in the hugel bed, or the hugel bucket. Definitely looks a lot different. Compare the one we've had for a season or so to what you just saw. So this is the farkleberry. Look at there. It's actually going to have some berries on them. And I thought maybe that's the only place it's going to flower. But check this out. There's some more right there. Check them out. There's the flowers. Sparkleberry, farkleberry, probably a few other names I think they call this. It's one of the vacciniums, which is in the blueberry family. So it's kind of like a wild type blueberry. A pretty big shrub, I think. They get like 15 or 20 feet in the wild. It's so strange that you might be visiting a park somewhere and it may not even be far away. And they might have them, or they might be full of them. There might be multiple plants. And you're like, why doesn't it grow over here just a few miles away? Why don't I have that on my property? So, I mean, in native nurseries, they're not always easy to find stuff, A lot of times they're sold out or have to pay a lot of money to get, a little plant or a 3-gallon plant and then shipping it and all. So they can be expensive if you don't have access to either local plants or a local person that propagates them. So this is one of the first pineapple guavas I planted the other day when we did a video on them. And it's still looking sad, and we've had rain and everything. These other two look fine, but look how droopy and sad this guy is. Maybe we didn't bottom water it long enough before we put it in the ground. Could be root bound issues, I don't know. But we did put a little water in there. Maybe we need to mulch this area and see if we can get it to be happy. We're out early this morning and I got my trusty rake. Let's get some leaves and kind of mulch that pineapple guava. All right, let's see if this is enough. Stick it in there. Well, let's get a little bit more. All right, so I just got some pine needles to finish her off, and we'll probably add more later too. That's not a thick layer there, but maybe this will help keep some moisture in those roots. So I consider mulching, like I've said in a few videos, kind of like a light version of mycorrhizal raised beds, where I get the pine needles. It's usually a pretty thick layer, and a lot of times when you're raking it up, you see that fungal root growth inside there, kind of like that white webbing and stuff. Sometimes you even get stinkhorn mushrooms and all kinds of stuff in there as well. But as I've said in a previous video, I'm not going to stop with just mulching. I'm going to do probably at least a small raised, like age wood chip alternative bed, mycorrhizal bed around all of these guys. And you know what? I may even put all the pineapple guavas back here. I just don't think, at least when you're starting out planting pineapple guavas for the first time without protection, that they can handle the sun scorch and without having like a drip water system or something on the roots, and especially in the heat of the day. And as you can see, these guys really stress out easily when they're not constantly being watered sometimes. I had a local nursery man tell me a while back that I should put my pineapple guavas in the shade. I guess he experimented a little bit with pineapple guavas, and he said he's only got like one grafted cultivar, but he's got several, and he said, I think they're more productive in the shade here. And you can see they highly stress out, especially when you first plant them, you know, and they get the sunlight hitting them and they're not constantly being like on a drip line or something, or rain. So the sun really tears them up, at least maybe until they're established. Now, they still do this in the summers or whatever. They'll still droop, but if you have the mulch and all, hopefully they won't do it. You know, hopefully when you have the mulch around there, covering the feeder roots and keeping the feeder roots moist, and or maybe doing the mycorrhizal raised beds, hopefully that will prevent that most of the time from happening, where you, once they're established, you hopefully will not have to water them much. But other people that grow these also say when they're blooming and producing fruit, you need to make sure they have a lot of water. So they're heavy water feeders or drinkers. These other guys really don't need the mulch right now, but I think I'm going to put some in there just to kind of give it some weed protection. And this is just going to amplify, you know, what we're going to do later with building a little small raised bed around it. So they're going to use those leaves or pine needles or whatever, and little sticks and twigs, you know, in both methods. So there's our Kaiteri grafted cultivar with mulch. And this is the other one we got from a greenhouse nursery, seedling, whatever it is. So that bed we were originally going to put the pineapple guavas in, like kind of like on the other side of our property. It's a drier area, pretty much full sun, but it's kind of way away. It would be hard to kind of set up a drip line or something for it. And because these guys droop so much, and you know, they're like little babies, I guess you would say, crying and whining and always needing attention, you know. I've decided just to, I guess, put most of them in the same area. That doesn't mean we won't do anything later and move them. I guess another good thing is, I know that anything we put on the road, people will take, people will steal. You know, I had people steal those pine pieces near the road, you know, a few weeks ago. I figured that was going to happen, where we had a truckload dumped there. And yes, people were hauling them off, and our loquats near the road, they're taking our loquats, running over there. It's probably always a good idea to have a fence or something around your property with a no trespassing or beware dog sign or something to kind of protect your fruits, unless you don't care. I mean, I don't really care that much about the loquats, because that's just a seedling loquat that's been there forever. But when my father had apples and stuff near the roadway, kids would run up there and steal all the apples and possibly like throw them at cars, and, you know, get in all kind of trouble with them. So, you know, I'm not sure what we could put out there that people wouldn't bother, but would still be, you know, a good edible or something. Thinking about figs, and yes, I believe people would steal figs as well, but just having new cultivars out there to try and to have that parent stock to root and maybe bring back into a different area later on would be a viable option. Now, I guess a lot of people that are successful with pineapple guavas, they say these guys will get like 15 foot or so, and they get really wide. You know, these guys are really planted close together. You know, the two there are in the same hole. These guys are about 4 or 5 foot from each other, and these guys are about 6 foot from each other. So if doing the post mycorrhizal bed or mulching or combination, and, you know, heavy water, heavy feed makes them, you know, all like shoot up to 15 to 20 feet, plus, you know, the width, you know, 15 foot wide. These guys are basically going to be growing into each other. But, you know, I guess we'll see what happens. And if we have to prune them, trim them, or whatever, then I guess so be it. So check out this chestnut that we planted in this old a cardboard compost bed. This is strange. It is actually blooming, or fixing to bloom. That is so strange. His companion that's in the pot still is not showing any signs of blooming. The kids are playing in the dirt today, right?
Yeah, we're like construction workers.
You're doing your construction work here.
Yeah.
JJ, Jonathan? I guess JJ and Jonathan are way too busy to be distracted by a phone. So it is another day, but I want you guys to check out these Scarlet Beauty plums that are starting to turn red. Look how pretty they're becoming. So hopefully this one is ripe or very close to it. It pulled off the stem fairly easily. Let me give it a taste. Woo! That is sour. Probably needs another couple days. I want to show you what these blueberries are doing. They already went through like a berry stage, a flowering stage, but check this out. They're flowering again with berries already on them. But that's not just a one-off though. See, berries, flowers, berries, flowers. There's some nice fungal activity here on raised bed number 1. Well, it's another morning. Sun came out maybe hour and a half ago. Oldest kid's off to school. Let's see if we can get anything done today, or at least this morning before the other 2 kids wake up. So we cleared this kind of area here with a sling sickle, but I don't think I videoed this. I cleared it further on back here. So we got probably a 35 foot section cleared and a few other places. I think I'm going to move this, instead of matching where this bed, raised bed number 1 is, like putting it right there. I think I'm going to move it back some so I can have access to a vehicle near the barn there. And the main reason is we got guy lines over here from our tower, so we do not want to have to take them down when we move a car, to load or unload something. But that's okay. We got all the way to that fence back there, basically. It looks like our papayas have recovered pretty nicely. They had some pretty gnarly dieback on this one here. I guess both of them had some dieback, but they look really nice now. And I don't even know where this potato plant came from, but it looks like it's getting ready to bloom. So I was planning on getting a few more plants for May, and I have a local nursery propagating at least 2 plants for me. Money's tight though, because Mother's Day came up and this dog won't shut up. Anyway, I got Natalie a pendant thinking she obviously would have a necklace for it. So for Mother's Day, this says Mom on it, and I think it has like a little rose colored flower thing on it as well, a small one. We got home and she's got white gold necklaces, but no, she won't wear a yellow gold pendant on a white gold necklace or vice versa. So we ended up going back to the pawn shop and getting a necklace, which was a little too small. Like as far as inches, you'll buy them an 18 inch or 22 inches or 27 inches or whatever. They didn't have anything that was like 22 inches. I think it was 18 or 19. She bought it, or she got it, I bought it for Mother's Day. And that went kind of way over my budget when we added those 2 things together. So it's going to I'm thinking of like cutting Netflix and Disney Plus off, because you don't have much money at the end of the month. We can always restart it next month. But the kids really are not using Netflix hardly at all, and Disney hardly at all. They're obsessed with YouTube, which is, in my opinion, a bad thing for kids. Check out those figs. They're getting bigger by the day. Anyway, next month are 3 birthdays. So 3 presents, 1 big party. And that's probably going to cut my plant budget into nothing. So, going into July, it's just way too hot to plant stuff. Things, if you don't have a drip system or something on like trees, and, they just wither and dry up and die. Doesn't matter if they get flooding rains for 2 or 3 days or a week at a time. They have a few days where they just wither up and, die, or at least their own, like, life support, what I'm saying. That's why most people don't plant, like fruit trees and stuff too late after they come out of dormancy. I like to plant them when they're dormant, pears, whatever. It just gets way too hot in the summer, before the roots, are able to dig into the soil and establish and, and are able to collect, water from the ground and stuff easier. So they shrivel up in the heat of the day unless they got a drip line or rain, and it's just not a good option for the most part, unless you have a plant that likes shade and you can plant it in the shade. Even right now, that last pomegranate I planted in the ground is just shriveling up and looking horrible, and it's not even June yet. We can just go back to this pineapple guava here, this first one we planted, and look how bad it looks. Droopy, 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 and we give it a little bit of water. Maybe we should have planted it last month. The other 2 aren't as bad that we planted, but the heat, it does something to plants, even if they get rained on every other day. So we're going to end up having to bring a hose out here probably to soak it deep, every day, possibly do a drip on it. It's not going to hurt. Anytime you plant on a hill, it's also harder for, water to stay there, because it wants to, the slope makes the water want to run off. So we brought out a hose. We got kind of a slow pour going on here, and we'll probably water some other plants as well. But you know what? Let's plant some more. This is another one of our New Zealand grafted ones. This is a Anataki pineapple guava. The last one is a Takaka. Plus we have 2 seedlings here. All right, so 1 more down. And we did plant it more uphill, so we got to be more vigilant about watering and mulching and all that stuff. Or, like I said, making a mini, like a mycorrhizal bed, post-mycorrhizal bed around all these guys, which will act as a mulch as well. Stuff are going even higher on this slope or hill. And let me see. That sand is really dry despite us getting rain, quite a bit, at least every 3 days. So you can see the need to mulch or create something that retains water, at the feeder roots here. So yeah, that's the last of our grafted ones that we've planted. We got all 3 of them out, giving it a nice soak of water there. I'm really struggling to find a good spot for one of them, much less 2, because we really don't want to put them side by side with each other. We don't know if they're just clones of each other or what. We also have cactuses, olive, pear, jujube, hawthorn, blueberry, and Mexican tithonia, and at the end, figs. I really don't want to put them like 30 foot away, because we would probably have to hand pollinate them. And I think this pear is going to get way bigger, so even stuff here, this is just the seedling, is probably going to get shaded out quite a bit. On the other side of the pear, I do have some jujube. I have a small a cactus, and And like I said, we have blueberries, figs, Mexican tithonia, perennial ones. So we do have the space kind of in between where we could put 2 to 3 somethings. Should we put one down in the middle or put, you know, both of them here? I have, I think, an English hawthorn there, or some type of hawthorn over there. Surprisingly, I see a jujube root sucker right there. So I think we got to put it farther away. Probably closer to this fig tree, somewhere around here. We only got planting space for one hole, right? Let's make it a great big hole and put both of them in the hole. And hope that these are not colonies, that they can pollinate each other. Now, some people say this is a bad idea. Some people say the roots will graft onto each other over time sometimes and make one tree that has 2 different genes in it, so they all still pollinate each other. Other people consider this a common practice with pineapple guavas. We did that with our other 2 improved seedlings. Whew, now that's a backbreaker, trying to get into all the crevices when you put 2 big bushy plants in the same hole. You always wonder if you're gonna get the dirt in the right places. All right, so I got the water kind of slowly soaking that area, and I think we're probably done with this video. I'm not sure if we're gonna video any more later in the day, but we do need to, in a soon to come video, mulch or put leaves or something around all these new pineapple guavas here. And wish us luck, hope for the best. Take care, guys.